Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Live from the GBM studios in Belize City, it's Open Your Eyes. Start your morning right with your hosts, Sabrina Daly and Isani Caetano.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Isani Caetano.
And I'm Sabrina Daly.
How's it going, Sam? Good
It's
morning.
going good. And we have some things to jump into in
Yes,
terms of
we do. Our show overview for this morning, we're looking at the unions and they're going to be talking policy, pay, and progress. We're also going to be discussing the state of the bus industry with bus industry owners who share their drive for change. And Empowered to Inspire, we talk about Monisha's story. And finally, the Belize Special Olympics introduces fencing. Those are the topics for our conversations this morning. You don't want to miss them.
All righty, beautiful. Good morning, Isani. How you doing? It's a wet Wednesday.
Indeed it is. But I'm not complaining. We're at the middle of the week, and for some reason, it feels as if though this week is whizzing by quickly.
For you?
Yes.
Not so much for me.
Yes.
I feel like it's dragging by pretty slowly. But you know, we were just talking this morning, and I was saying, and even with Paul, I was talking about this yesterday. How I tend to not be too much of a fan of the wet, especially if you have to be outdoors. I know for some of us who are privileged to be working inside, we get to enjoy the cozy feeling, but there's quite a few of us that have to also be outside. And so for you guys getting ready to head outdoors this morning, definitely take an umbrella or a raincoat with you, because it looks like it's going to be a rainy Wednesday. And of course, we are going to get an official update from the Met Service a little bit later on in our show. But speaking of some things that we think you also should be abreast with, we have some topics that are currently trending that we think you also should know before you leave your homes. Starting off with the Ministry of Transportation meeting with bus operators. Also, Tyler Perry accused of sexual harassment and workplace gender violence. Also on that list, Belizean artist Byrne representing at Drewski auditions. There's a video circulating on social media with his audition. And OYE kicking off Summerfest this summer, also this Friday. And the countdown to this weekend's KTV The Remix auditions is set to take place. All right, moving things along, Isani. Yesterday, or last night, I guess I should say, I saw a video circulating on social media, and I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. You should be, because Byrne, I think his last name is Velasquez, right?
Yeah.
He's a well-known Belizean artist. He has some very popular songs here in Belize, but he is living in Mexico at this time, I believe. He's been pursuing an acting career, still making music. And then, so that's one side of the story. And then the other side is Drewski, a well-known streamer. He's also been traveling across the world, or across the region. I know he was in Jamaica recently doing some auditions for, I believe it's like a record label, or he's just scouting talent, really.
It's all part of the whole gimmick of it.
Yeah, I saw he was even doing auditions with Shensia and Popcorn as well. And it's a whole thing. And so last night we were able to see that Byrne showed up for an audition. And I don't know, I have mixed feelings about it.
All right, so for those who may not know Byrne by his music or acting chops, he's made himself popular in Belize as the most famous deportee. That's how Byrne rose to prominence here in Belize. All right, but as Sabrina mentioned, he's been back and forth between Belize and Mexico, where he has a very strong following in Mexico.
Yes.
All right. So all of this to what you're seeing here on your screen. So Byrne is auditioning before Drewski and his two
Security.
quote-unquote bodyguards. Yes, right? And what is funny about this is I don't know what Byrne is doing.
He said
I
he's
really
putting
don't
Belize
know
on
what
the
he's
map,
doing.
Isani.
Only he could explain what all of that is, but it's hilarious, right?
Yeah.
But to add to the hilarity, there goes Drewski talking to his security, trying to conspire how they're going to take down Byrne if he rushes towards them. So one is going to go low, and the other is going to go high, based on Byrne's size and his apparent strength.
It's
right?
him opening his shirt to really model for everyone. He's giving the smize, you know. There's a lot going on there, but I think that Byrne has been always passionate about the idea of making it big in the Hollywood industry. I mean, a lot of people knew him for his story of being deported, but he never lost his drive to share what he believes he had talent to do, which was singing, I have to tell you, or rapping. I have to tell you, as funny as the video is, he chopped up in his Creole in his song, and even if it was for the joke of it or not,
I don't know that any of it. Like I was trying to, I listened.
Either way,
to follow.
we got some Belizean in there.
Came
we
off
got
like
some of
gargle,
Belize in
but
that. But that video is circulating online right now. Let
Yeah.
us know your thoughts on it. Do you believe that you know? It's I think any publicity in this case is good publicity for him. He constantly encourages people to follow him on social media. He posts some clips of him in his acting career and even in his music career. So definitely kudos to him, man. He was able to meet Drewski.
Well, there we go. But on another note, since we're discussing entertainment this morning, an article came out yesterday. This was published by The Guardian in the UK. And I'm almost certain that it's also taken off in American media.
Yeah, I saw
as
in
well,
others.
Right? Tyler Perry. Everyone knows him for his Medea characters and all of these movies. And of course, he's on the heels of, I don't know, I would argue it's one of the most divisive movies, Straw. But that aside, so there is a sexual harassment claim being brought against him by an individual who alleges that Tyler Perry gave him the promise of Hollywood, right? And there were certain interactions in which he's alleging that Tyler Perry sexually harassed him. So there's a lawsuit or a claim for $260 million. Kind of, you know, wide and far-fetched, but we're living in an era where when it comes to being an entertainer or someone who is in Hollywood, as we'd say, people are out for paydays, right? And I'm not saying that there is any truth or there isn't any truth. I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with that in terms of a civil matter or what have you. But yes, $260 million,
That's
right?
a lot of money.
It comes hard on the heels of the successes of Straw.
Yeah.
Right?
I actually haven't seen the movie as yet, but I heard it's really heavy.
I don't know. I keep having this conversation, and we're digressing from the actual topic of it, but I think it's worth discussing nonetheless. So, I've seen the movie twice, and for me, it's a mixed bag.
Okay.
Right? Because while I could understand a series of unfortunate events, I don't know that all of that would happen in a day. Maybe it's a build-up to some kind of a mental or emotional crash, understood. But I don't know that someone could be that bad-lucked, right? And two, I think, and this is from a personal point of view, and I know I'm probably going to get eaten up or trashed for it. I don't know that it sits well with me when a producer or a creative perpetuates the stereotypical black person. I don't know like that. I'll be honest with you. I don't know like that. And I could get it. I understand it's for some people, it's not necessarily for me. But when we're putting certain things out there that we want to have palatable to the masses, then you have to be able to strike a middle ground.
You said a word there.
Too much as certain kinds of characters over the other. I don't know if that sits well with me.
You know
I'm
what,
just saying.
Isani? For the very first time, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I'm kidding.
No,
but I agree with you in the sense that I think that over time, we've seen just a constant portrayal of black struggle. And I'm not necessarily one that appeals to that. I think that there are success stories, beautiful stories that come out of, you know, being black as well. But that aside, I think it's important for us to highlight what is taking place here. We are seeing continuous revelations of persons speaking about sexual assault, not only females, but now males coming forward as well. And I know that Tyler Perry is loved within all different communities, but especially the black community for his work that he's done, for the way that he's been able to hire many people as well. With his own studio, and just the backstory of where his studio is placed, or the plot of land that it was purchased on. I think he's very powerful in the Hollywood industry. And even though this guy, whatever he was promised, if he was promised a bigger and brighter career, because he was an actor at the time, he was involved in the Oval series. So it's not like he was trying to break through or break into the industry. I think it's just the idea of being promised something. And in the case, I saw, I think it was on BBC, I saw some of the screenshots of the conversations that they were having, where he was alleging being sexually assaulted or sexually harassed. And there are some people in the comment section saying, it doesn't really look like harassment to me, it looks like two people flirting. So I don't know, we'll see how that unfolds.
There's also this money grab that's taking place in the United States with respect of big name entertainers, be it in the acting or the music field. Everyone seems to want to cash in, right? And so we're on edge in terms of watching what takes place in the industry, simply because if you look at Bill Cosby, right? That was one of the examples. You look at R. Kelly, if you look at what's happening with Diddy, if you look at Harvey Weinstein and all of these guys, and I'm not saying they're guilty or not guilty, that's not my place. I'm simply saying that when one person comes forward, it opens a floodgate, right? So if you, and again, we're digressing, but if you look at what has happened in the case of Diddy, for instance, right? Where even if he's able to walk away victorious from this particular trial, he is still inundated by all these other civil cases that have been brought against him based on people wanting money, essentially. Or people having a legitimate reason for saying, well, there was a sexual encounter of an unlawful nature that happened with this individual. For whatever reason, that's what it is.
The truth is that can in fact take place, and that's the negative side of it. But we have to also highlight that the positive is that when persons come out and they're courageous and brave enough to speak of them being assaulted or harassed in any way or another, it also gives space for other people who might have been holding on to that and not have felt brave enough to do that. And unfortunately, there are a lot of men who are also sexually harassed and sexually assaulted, but they feel like society does not give them space to express that, especially if it's from a female. And so I applaud anyone that comes forward too.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, we can't deny that.
It's not something that's typical or normal, right? And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, perhaps more often than not, but it goes unreported because it goes back to this whole conversation where we're saying that men are laughed at when we come forward and say we've been the victims of domestic abuse, we've been the victim of some kind of a sexual crime or what have you. Because in society's mind, toughen up on this walk.
Yeah, and so if we're having having the conversation one way, we do have to acknowledge the other. But those are some things that we think you should know, including the fact that Friday is coming up, and you would know that we're excited to kick off Summerfest. We want to see all the kids come out at the Memorial Park at 6:30 and come and enjoy Summerfest with us. It's our way of kickstarting summer, giving back to the kids, preparing for back to school as well. We also are excited to see the sponsors coming out and highlighting their products as well. Definitely deals that families can take advantage of as they prepare for back to school.
Sab, I'm only hoping that the weather cooperates.
Same. Last year was similar too.
Yeah. I'm only hoping that the weather cooperates, simply because I know that a lot of effort and planning is being put into pulling off a successful event on Friday. But as my good friend Andrew 3000 would say, you can Yeah, you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather.
Yes, I was listening to him yesterday too.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget that KTV audition kicks off this weekend as well, the 21st and the 22nd. And we encourage you guys to come out and test your pipes too. I'm excited about KTV Season 7, so please come out and audition. And also on our Facebook page, that's Open Your Eyes BZ, we have a poll going up, and the question is, what dish best represents Belize? Let us know in the comment section. We want to know what you think those are. We have rice and beans, escabeche, fried jack, tamales / dukuno, other.
I know what the answer for that is. A very
You
very
know that
straightforward.
there's only one answer, no?
Definitively.
Okay.
Right? I'm asking you guys to jump in because I could share with you what the ultimate answer is, right?
What dish best represents Belize?
What is the universal dish? I'll simply say this, it's the Sunday dinner of choice.
I
No
don't
one
know.
may eat escabeche on Sunday. No dukuno dinner on Sunday. But I left that so.
I agree,
It's
I
for you
agree.
guys to be able to chime in.
Alrighty, let us know your thoughts. The poll is up currently, but we do got to move things along. There is a weather update we got to get into, and as we mentioned, it is a bit rainy this morning. So let's see what we can expect from the folks at the Met Service. Alrighty, today's weather forecast calls for mostly cloudy skies today and tonight. Shower activity will be isolated at first, then showers and thunderstorms will increase around the country, especially over northern and central areas during the course of today. Tonight, some shower periods of rain and thunderstorms will affect the south. And honestly, I could have told you that. It honestly really looks like it's going to be a rainy day, but thunderstorms included in that definitely is one to take heed of. Today's temperatures along the coast, the high will be 85 degrees Fahrenheit and the low will be 78. Inland, the highs are looking like 86 degrees Fahrenheit with a low of 72. But in the hills, it's going to be very much cooler temperatures with a high of 77 and a low of 65. Our astronomical conditions, the sun rose this morning at 5:18 a.m. and it's set to set at 6:29 p.m. The moon rose will rise at 12:12 a.m. and is set to set at 11:50 a.m. Our extended forecast Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday really all calls for general 80-degree temperatures with lows of 86 on Thursday and Friday. But during the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we can expect highs of 90 and 91 with lows of 74. And our marine conditions, the sea state will be moderate to rough and winds will be gusty, blowing from the east at 10 to 20 knots. The tides today, the low will happen at 9:30 a.m. and another high at 3:15 p.m. I'm sorry, the first one was a low. But another low will also take place at 9:52 p.m. and tomorrow a high at 4:05 a.m. But that's our look on the weather forecast, courtesy the folks from the National Meteorological Service. Isani, back to ya.
Thanks, Sabrina. When we come back, the unions are talking policy, pay, and progress. It's a conversation you don't want to miss.
Christian Palmer. I'm the owner of CRK Services, and I've been operating this business for 7 years in Big Falls, Toledo District. I use the Belize Bank online services because it's quite fast, reliable, and easy. Before I started to use the Belize Bank online services, I had to make a lot of trips into town, which cost me a lot, especially fuel. So the fact that I have to use my credit card every day, I can do an online instant payment and make my life easy. My customers can do payments towards me and it reaches in instant. It's fast, it's convenient for my business. I don't have to be up and down. I can do it anywhere I want. I would recommend you using the Belize Bank online services because for you, it will save you a lot of time.
the beat and the energy of Belize like never before. It's Summerfest 2025. Live performances from Belize's most talented kids. Come and enjoy food that sizzles and cold drinks for the kids. Cultural displays and loads of giveaways. Join us at Memorial Park in Belize City. See you all at 6:30 a.m. on June 20th for Summerfest 2025. Where summer comes alive!
Electricity powers our lives, but it must be handled safely and correctly. That is why it is not only important, but essential to be a licensed wireman. Being licensed means you are trained, tested, and trusted to do the job according to acceptable industry standards. To become a licensed wireman, the first step is to take the PUC Wireman License Exam, which is the only path to becoming officially recognized to carry out electrical installation and submission of electrical design plans to the PUC. PUC's Wireman License Exam provides evidence that the applicant possesses the necessary knowledge and expertise to be licensed in a specific profession or for a specific scope of work, assures the public that the person passing the exam is qualified to practice within the scope of the license without causing electrical safety concerns to the public. All individuals who have successfully passed the exam are issued a PUC Wireman license according to their category. The PUC reminds the public, 1. Only a licensed wireman can submit your electrical design for approval. And 2. Choose a licensed wireman to ensure your electrical project is safe and up to standard.
And welcome back. For our first conversation this morning, we have been joined by the president of the APSSM, the Association of Public Service Senior Managers, none other than our good friend Sharon Fraser. Good morning.
Good
Ms.
morning.
Fraser.
Good morning. I guess we are at that stage of good friends.
I know. Man, we see you so often and we're covering
Yes,
the plight
man.
of the union so often. There's a sense of familiarity now.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Let's begin, Ms. Fraser, by perhaps providing an update as to where we are in this ongoing struggle with the government of Belize, where the salary adjustments are concerned and, of course, the other demands being made by the joint unions.
Okay, so when we were last here, I know that, in fact, there was an offer on the table from government for 3% so we had asked for 8.5% salary adjustment to make up for cost of living, inflation, and while it might have been instigated by certain actions that government took, it was a legitimate cry that was coming from our membership that, you know what, this is about survival. We need to survive. How things are going with the inflation rate being between 17-19%, there was a need to look at public officers who were one payday away from poverty, and teachers. So an official offer was made to us of 3%, which we had discussed with you, 3% of that 8 October this year, and then the 5.5 would have been over the following 2 years. What also was added in the fray was to unfreeze to frozen increments, and those would have been paid one April 2026 and the next one April 2027. There were some other issues that were raised, like, for example, looking at a formula to ensure that we were not back on the street or having to come do these types of meter wrongs, as far as asking for, just look at us, just look at our cost of living, just look at what is happening. So government did propose that as well, in including certain other incentive, tax breaks, and other incentive that valuable. You might not see the money effect right away, but at least existing. And with that, we had gone back. We were tasked to go back to our membership, and unfortunately, the membership did not accept the 3%. There were varying alternatives that were put forward. Some absolutely wanted their 8% upfront, because they're saying, we're not even reaching where inflation is, where cost of living is. But it's not that they weren't prepared to compromise, but we were getting nothing in response to all of that. That was their feeling. And we still would have been at a deficit, even at the 8.5%. So with that, we wrote back government indicating that it was not accepted. As far as the frozen increment is concerned, for the most part, that was okay, right, given the circumstances, but there were still concerns raised by that, particularly from PSU members. I can tell you my members were okay with that, but ultimately it was universally rejected from all the membership. Having done poll, we all did our poll in relation to that, and they did not accept it. We wrote, and then government responded. So that is where we would have been. Government responded, and in fact said, all right, you're not accepting 3, what about 4? So they raised it. They raised it by 1%. The other 4.5 would have been paid over the following 2 years, so it still remained 3 years. The increment, the unfrozen increment, would have remained. Oh, another thing we had raised in our letter when we sent it back was the fact that members were asking about their increment that was foregone under the borough administration. So instead of 2, they were looking at 3. To consider it, because one of the conditions of the foregone increment was that if the economy gets better, they are going to come back and look at it to at least return it. Not retroactive, but at least at the point where the economy would have gotten better. So members were asking about that. So we decided, let us show that in. Okay, so when the new letter come back with the 4 and the 4.5, absolutely they said the foregone instrument was not to be considered, that was not on the table.
So that's dead in the water.
Well, it's not dead for us. But as far as what we're doing now, it was okay, we're not to consider that. It's only two increments we're talking about.
Okay.
And the conditions remain the same.
I recall that Friday, it would have been 2 Fridays ago, you guys met together as a joint unions here in Belize City.
Yes.
And when you spoke with us, you guys were saying, look, well, it's from this same particular Friday, you guys were saying, look, the 4% is almost even more disrespectful.
And that is where I wanted to go.
Yes, kindly proceed.
It is, because even though people might out there saying, your listeners and viewers might be saying, but to no get 1% more. What they're not realizing, and what was put to us, was that getting the salary adjustment, getting the unfrozen increments were now subject to pension reform. So if you want this, you have to take this. So that the pension reform, while we never said that we don't agree, in fact we are partaking in the process, this was never something that we spoke to as it relates to this salary adjustment. But what is the crux behind the pension reform? What they were saying is that, well, we need to do pension reform, and it needs to start October. The proposed amount for persons to pay to a contributory pension is 5%. So look at, and that's for persons entering the service. So look at this. So they'll give away 4, and then that public officer, that teacher, will then have to give up 5.
So they walk away. They walk away with less now.
That is the point.
Weren't there also an inclusion of the potential of an increase or a later age to retire as well?
Oh, yes. And also, with the pension reform would have meant that persons' terms and conditions would have changed. Because now, instead of retiring at 55, it is now based on the recommendation that the pension age will move to 60.
Yeah.
Right?
How was
So,
that received?
I can't tell you that yet.
Yeah.
The jury is still out for that because we're in the process of looking at it, looking at the best fit. We're not running away from pension reform. The IMF has told us for years, we've been hearing that it is not sustainable. We're retiring too early.
Yep.
But the truth of the matter is that a number of public sector workers, they're saying we're living longer. That is not true. I know of public sector workers, as they retire, God's already for you.
Or sickness.
Some
sets
of
in.
them have not even gotten
Yeah.
their benefits.
That's a delicate
right,
situation. though.
and it is a delicate situation. But on the other hand, you have others who are saying, come 55, like 55, come quick. Right? They still have life in them. So I cannot sit here and tell you we have a position
Yeah.
on the 60 because consultation has not even started yet because the work of the Pension Reform Committee, which we are a part of, their work has not finished yet. So if their work has not finished as yet and consultation has not been done, how can pension reform start October this year? We're not ready yet. It's not that we're rejecting it. It's not that we're saying it shouldn't be in place. We're responsible. We recognize that, in fact, the wage bill is, in fact, bloated, and the wage bill includes pension, right? So that when they talk about the wage bill and it being whatever figure, because every day there's a different figure I hear, but when it is, they say that, I want people to keep in mind it's not just salaries. It also includes pension, but pension that persons like myself work for. I gave government close to 35 years. Who can tell me I didn't work for that? I sacrificed just like every other public officer and teacher out there. And for me, I didn't leave the service on attaining my legal degree. I stayed up until the end.
Yeah.
So that one can't say that, in fact, persons have not worked for that. And I signed on to a contract that told me that you put in the work and come 55, you will get a pension and a gratuity.
Yeah.
If
Ms.
you're
Sharon?
changing that now, it's a new terms and conditions for persons who would have signed on to something. So contractually, with a look for an issue that it has to be a buy-in.
I don't want to, let me go in a slightly different direction here, but I wouldn't want for it to be seen as splitting hairs, right? I think one of the contentions, the last time it was proposed for the 4% is that the communication shifted from the unions and Deputy Prime Minister Cordell Hyde to the unions and Minister of State Chris Koyi. And you guys are essentially saying, well, it changes perhaps either the tone of the conversation, notwithstanding the fact that the good fellow, Mr. Hyde, is charming and he is charismatic, and notwithstanding the fact that Mr. Koyi has a very stoic business-first approach. What do you make of that? Is that splitting hairs, or is it perhaps a legitimate concern on the part of the unions?
I believe it's a legitimate concern because the tone actually changed. I have to commend the joint negotiating team, and I'm talking about those representing workers and government, because we have operated under a high level of respect. There has been dialogue over the table. So it was never a, well, it's this or that kind of situation.
Yeah.
You either take this or you. So the tone of the letter, and one might say, okay, fine, well, maybe that's never what you mean, but black and white says a lot of things. And when you put things in black and white, you have to think about how it's going to be received.
Yeah.
In addition to that, we have a negotiating team with ministers that is headed by the Deputy Prime Minister. We've had correspondence. I won't never deceive the public, where we have received correspondence from the joint team of ministers, from Minister Osha. We've gotten response from Minister Fonseca, right? And we've gotten response, of course, from the Deputy Prime Minister in writing us. But it baffled us when it is we got this letter. It almost felt like, well, I have to bail this cat now. I have to bring on it. That is how it felt. I'm not saying that is what was meant, but that is how it felt. So we're sitting there and we're trying to analyze, because everything you look at, I will tell you, I read that letter about 3 times to try to figure out what would have been in the mind of the good minister when he was writing it, right? Because some of the things that are in there is not what we decided on, and maybe that might have missed him. I know we left there because one of the things we often do is to go back at what we have agreed upon, right? It is not final, because a lot of things we have to take back to our members, but we do okay, let us leave here. What is your understanding compared to what is our understanding, right? And I want to tell you that pension reform has been on the table. As I told you, there is a committee.
Yeah.
Right? So we are not opposing to that, but you can't now come and tie that to our salary adjustment, and that is what that letter is suggesting.
I want to get your comment, Ms. Fraser, based on an interview that we were able to get from the Financial Secretary, Stuart Leslie. Paul spoke to him, and he essentially said,
Joseph Wade.
And he said that he wouldn't want for the government to have to raise taxes based on what is being asked by the joint unions negotiating team.
Mr. Wade is my friend, right? I've worked with him for years. But in doing that, I think it would have been an attempt to get the public against the joint unions as it relates to taxes. And I want to assure the public, we all pay taxes, including public officers and teachers. So we would never put Belize in a position where we are saying, give us this when tax will come, and take it right back. Right? So I want to start with that. Secondly, I've been sitting around the negotiating table, which is a number of years now. Every time we've asked for raise or adjustment, depending on where we are going, we have tasked ourselves to go looking for where we can get the money from to get our raise. In the last set of raise adjustments, we went looking for the money, and that is why at the end of the day it wasn't a set figure. It was based on what we found. It started off at 10, it went to 7, and then it went to 3, because ultimately we took the initiative.
Perhaps the then Barrow administration, one could argue, would have been somewhat flexible in allowing you to go and find the monies, as opposed to perhaps the rigid position that this current administration is taking.
But I don't want to say that they're rigid. So I'm defending this government at this point, because they have accepted and agreed to revive, is the word, the committees that we had used to find where the savings are, to find where the holes are, with the Revenue Enhancement Committee and the Cost Saving Committee. so that they've revived it. They have now made it a standing committee, so that it doesn't have a lifespan now. It should be continuous, so that the work will continue, finding the holes, finding how we can enhance revenue, and that is what we have been doing. So I don't want to say that this government is not doing that, because they've agreed.
Yeah.
And in fact, unfortunately, or fortunate, I don't know, today we were supposed to have a meeting going over these reports, because at first interim report have been made coming out of these committees, where they've looked at the recommendation from the past committees, look in the department, see where we are, what recommendations have been implemented, what is left, and how we from the committee, because the committee reports directly to the office of the Prime Minister. So, which is a good thing, because it gives us that oomph, that to go into ministry and ask the necessary questions. The committees are made up of government representatives and the union representatives. So it's a joint effort.
Let me go in another direction here. There seemed to be what I would describe as a tacit antagonism. I say that because while the meeting of the joint unions with the government officials may be cordial, there is an active campaign being carried out by members of the Briceño administration to put you guys under the spotlight in a negative way, right? So maybe the conversations are being held in good faith when you meet with Minister Hyde and Fonseca and the rest of them, but then this ad campaign that focuses squarely on my friend here, Mr. Flowers, or looks at, you know, what the union is looking at as $100 million price tag for this particular demand. It seems as if though they're running a different kind of campaign outside of the discussions with you guys. I'll take this opportunity to introduce the president of the Public Service Union, Mr. Dean Flowers, and perhaps you, sir, could have a go at that response.
I actually wanted to respond, since
go right
the
ahead.
Primary target is on him, and I don't want to put him in that position.
No problem.
I find that it's very unfortunate, and I'm very disappointed by that. I am very disappointed. I know what it feels like, because there were ad campaigns as it relates to me on the previous CBA that we were doing. I find it to be disingenuous, because here we are at the table, we're negotiating, and there is this outright ad campaign against union leaders who are not there in their personal capacity. They're representing membership who would have said to them, go and speak on these issues. They're not speaking, we're not speaking on our own, right? And I'm disappointed, and I want to call out whoever is responsible for those ads. The last time they did that, I remember going into the meeting and I said, you know what? I feel like I am in a domestic violence, abuse relationship with them, because around the table, for in the looks of things, we are cordial, and when I go home, I get my bottom beat.
Yeah.
Right? My name, my reputation, my family, the tech leak, right? And that is why this is so unfortunate,
and it's
that
in poor
in fact
taste,
they're
though.
doing that, and in poor taste. I have to call out whoever is doing that. It's really not. It's to me, it's bad faith. So you're here, you're talking, and none of us have said, okay, so I point out what is going wrong. We are here championing for good governance. We are here championing for certain things. We're seeing things happening in the public in the public service and the wider, and because we're speaking about that, now all of a sudden we're subject to political ads. No. I don't know, Brother Dean can, but I know his position has been, I'm not listening to the noise in the market. I am staying focused.
Good morning, Mr. Flowers.
Hi, good morning, and thanks for having us, and good morning,
You
Belize.
get car, you get $55,000 salary, you get all of these perks. You're exposed. Good morning, my brother.
Well, I'm very proud to say that I have 23 years experience working in finance, and I've worked with the best, and I'm underpaid, and I left private sector and quasi-government institutions to serve my country in the petroleum sector. I would have been the first auditor in that sector to oversee the petroleum exploration industry. So I'm grossly underpaid to my peers within the region. I'm highly qualified, I'm well trained. I was trained in Trinidad, in Canada, in Scotland, in the UK, and in Texas, in Katy, Texas. So that I continue to serve for $55,000, and I'm proud to say that. And I will not go and hijack the people's purse as our elected representatives have done. But I think that it's important that we don't waste time on political persecution. I am proud to be somebody that has been politically persecuted. My children will see the Honorable Johnny Briceño and the Honorable Henry Usher for who they are, chairman and leader who oversaw the persecution of unionists. And they are both responsible for that, the chairman and the leader of the party. And it speaks to them, to their character, and how isolated they are from the values and principles of their founding fathers, because the PUP was birthed out of unionism. And lo and behold, we have a chairman and a leader who persecutes unionists. So it not speak to me, speak to them. But the resolve is stronger, of course. I'm resolved. I know the mission. The mission is to ensure that my union and the workers of this country get their fair share of the growth that this country has enjoyed off their backs. It is to ensure that we hold the government accountable and to inform and educate the Belizean people that we all need to get involved. So the ads, I'm happy for Channel 5, I'm happy for Channel 7, I'm happy for all the media stations that are making money, because I know these ads. We have tried to make ads in 2021. To generate 2 ads, we had to pay $8,800.
I don't know if I said that ad they run on Channel 5.
Well, if it has not run on Channel 5, I want to apologize, and I want big up if we not run there. But I want big up everybody else where they make money off of it, including the preferred political page. And what is sad, because it must be said that this is costing Belizean taxpayers. This is not being paid by the PUP. This costs Belizean taxpayers, and is being created by public officers who should be doing the people's work, but instead are doing work of a party. And the people need to know that as well.
But that's okay. So the idea of running what I call this smear campaign is more smokes and mirrors, right? It's sort of a distraction tactic to move away from what the joint unions are clamoring for, to look at what one or a few individuals are making and the perceived perks of it. But at the end of the day, if we're being fair, if you have been called out, right, and this ad is running and what have you, your salary, by virtue of what they've put out there, and the perks that you're receiving, pale in comparison to the CEOs and everybody else in the government. I'm just calling a spade what it is, right? That's on the surface of it. Now let me go to my question. There is a certain momentum, and it's unfortunate that the president of the BNTU was unable to join us this morning. But there is a certain momentum that comes along with the BNTU's involvement in any kind of union activism. We're nearing the end of the academic year, so most teachers will now go on summer vacation. Do you believe that this will perhaps slow down the train, in a manner of speaking, over the coming weeks or months?
I think the president of the BNTU has answered that question in other forums, stating that the agitation will be continuous, and so I do not expect that the close of school will affect them in any way. I think more importantly, she has already give stern warning that people need to prepare for disruption in the new school year in September. That has been her words through the general public in previous media. So this has nothing to do with the closure of school in terms of how far they intend to agitate. So I think this has given us an opportunity to engage with a wider audience. we've been able to really have very serious conversations with other affiliates within the NTUCB, which has birthed, of course, in my words, a Save Belize movement. And I'm pretty quite sure tomorrow's press conference that the NTUCB will be holding, that will be expounded upon by the president of the NTUCB. But this fight for equity in the public service and for better governance has given birth to something bigger than the 8.5, bigger than the increments. This has given birth to something that will expose a lot of corruption by our elected officials, and we will have to hold them accountable, and it gives us an opportunity to again reassess and look at the good governance, the oversight institutions that are supposed to be working, which are clearly not working, and so I am hoping that the entire Belizean public will be part of this movement, because the entire Belizean public will be called upon to resist what is becoming a very autocratic type state, and a state that caters primarily for a few people at the top, and then throw crumbs in the form of $5 minimum wage bill at the bottom, and believe that we're supposed to feast on that. So I'm looking forward to the bigger campaign. I think that we have been clear with our position. We've demonstrated to the government where the money is and where the money should come from. It is now for them to act responsibly and to answer to the call of the workers who they hired. I didn't hire them. They hire public officers, and I just represent them. So they need to respond to the calling of their workers.
All right. We'll take a quick break now, and when we come back, we continue the conversation. After this, we want to know what progress could look like as it relates to the negotiations currently taking place. Don't go anywhere. Open your eyes. We'll be right back.
Make light work lighter and quicker with switch technology from Axi Power Tools. Axi Switch technology breaks the bondage of power cords and grants you the luxury of freedom and precision. Switch one battery across all your Axi line power tools effortlessly, allowing for quick and efficient work. Cut the cords. Choose efficiency with Axi Switch technology. Only at Benny's. Quality and savings. Ignite the innovator in you with Dell. Cellular World is an authorized partner for Dell Technologies. Whether you're looking for equipment for personal use or to transform your business, Dell Technologies can provide you with the right equipment to suit your needs. Dell is more than just desktop computers and laptops. The full line also includes monitors, data storage solutions, keyboards, docking stations, and other accessories. This is technology that makes it possible and provides solutions for every situation. Shop for your Dell products at Cellular World, your #1 Dell authorized partner in Belize, and get all the technology you want for less. Bring your brightest ideas to life with intelligent technology. Cellular World, authorized Dell partner.
Unwrap the joy of crystal clear picture and sound from Iowa, the brand that offers you affordability and exceptional quality. Iowa has a wide range of exceptional products to choose from, such as TVs, speakers, headphones, home appliances, and much more at affordable prices that won't break the bank. Enhance your audio-visual entertainment experience with Iowa, and for your convenience, parts are readily available in country for hassle-free maintenance. You can find Iowa products at your local electronics store countrywide. Choose Iowa, the best in home entertainment and household appliances.
And welcome back. We are continuing our conversation with representatives of the Public Service Union and the APSSM. Now, Mr. Flowers, last week you guys marched over to the Labor Department and officially registered that there is a dispute with the unions, the union that you represent. Provide us with an update as to where we are now that the clock is ticking, so to speak.
Yes. Well, just as an update, we did receive a letter of acknowledgement of our registration of trade dispute from the Minister of Labor, the Honorable Florence Marin. And I want to say good morning to him and welcome back. He's freshly back from Geneva after 2 weeks. So I'm hoping that we will see ratification of some much needed ILO convention, especially 158 and 190, which addresses unfair terminations and of course violence and harassment in the workplace, which happens in both the public and private sector against primarily women. But he acknowledged receiving that trade dispute, and he informed us that in accordance with the law, he will now be considering that trade dispute based on the grounds on which it was declared. He has 21 days to do that, and within that 21 days, he's supposed to either identify a solution or set up a tribunal to bring the parties together to find a solution. After 21 days, the Public Service Union and all its essential services units attached to the Public Service Union can engage in full-fledged industrial action, including strike action. And so I want to make clear that with the declaration of that trade dispute, it simply gives the government an opportunity to know that even the essential services are now at liberty to engage in any form of industrial action that they choose to. And that would be primarily the financial sector, BTSD, customs, immigration, the petroleum sector as well, the civil aviation sector, the fire department. Those are essential services. Not all of them should be there, and that's another thing that I hope the minister will correct, because the ILO report is clear that under primarily the Barrow administration, several departments were added to essential services which are not to be there. And of course we saw the foolishness by the head of the NEMO, the husband of the Governor General, who would have attempted to put call centers, BPOs on essential services, which is against the law because they're not essential services.
In the meantime, we are seeing that the Public Service Union is in full support of the Belize National Teachers Union, who have already filed their notice of industrial action. As we wait for that 21-day point to reach, what type of support are we seeing from the PSU with the BNTU?
We're seeing a lot of support. I think that the responses that we're getting is very encouraging. And that's why I said that we're focused. We're focused because we learned from 2021. In 2021, I think it was very burdensome on both the government side and us in those negotiations. And then for me, I had just become president. So I was finding and feeling my way. I am, after 3 years, 4 years now in this position, I'm ready for this. And that's why I said that this will not be a repeat of 2021, where we'll simply be putting boots on the ground for putting boots on the ground. No, every move that the PSU makes will have consequences. Every move that we make will have consequences. The membership is demanding that that also happens. So it's not the leadership, but the membership is saying we will not move to move's sake. We have a strategic plan which involves strategic ministries, and we will disrupt services every step of the way once the Briceño administration continues with the disrespect that they're doing. Today, I have a 2-day visit in the Ladyville area to engage public officers, because public officers are also, it's important that we engage with those public officers. We've been doing that countrywide. We've been saying to our branch chairs, reach out to your public officers, do your departmental visits, sensitize them on the issues, and let them know that they voted for this trade dispute. It wasn't the Council of Management that voted for this trade dispute. They voted for it, and they committed. Almost 1,000 public officers committed to participating in full-fledged industrial action once that trade dispute is clear. So I'm expecting that we will cause some fireworks at the expiration of that 21 days.
You know, speaking of that fireworks, and I want us to repeat a conversation that we were having earlier, because it's important that you guys at home recognize the role that you play, even if you're not a part of the public service or you're not a teacher. We are seeing public response based on what is taking place, the disruption that's taking place as it relates to services, or simply having these 15-minute blocks on the passageways. We've seen online and in person people express frustration based on that. What do you say to the public in terms of the inconvenience that they would experience as this increases over time?
I want to speak to that because unfortunately, Nadia, we've been going. So President Callis would have wanted to be here, had scheduled to be here, and is not able to. So at least for her members, I need to say that she's not here, not because she does not want to be, but we've just been going. But I want to say, if it is that parents out there feel that this is an inconvenience to have their teachers out on the street, then they can take their place. They can go out there on the street to clamor and make representation that we don't want our teachers out here, we'll fight for them, so that their children are then, they receive the best possible service, right? And nobody is inconvenienced. So you don't want your children out, then you can say, no worry teacher, you stay in your classroom and I want to come out. So that is the role that the public can play, parents can play in relation. So I hear parents say, oh, the teacher ain't going out again and whatever. They need to stop using teachers as babysitters.
Yeah, that's true.
They need to stop.
Let me
all
jump
of
in.
us have been influenced by some teacher or the other.
Yeah.
So
all of us have been taught by a number of teachers.
Exactly. So take this serious. Teachers love what they're doing, otherwise they would not be there.
Let me jump in here though, right? And two things for certain. I'm Belizean first and foremost, and I'm a journalist. And so with those come a healthy dose of skepticism and cynicism, right? I say that to say this. What you see and what you hear on social media is completely different from what actually happens on the ground, right? So you'll get all the support you will get on social media, because that's where people feel like as though their voice amplifies. But when it comes down to it, right? The proof is in the eating. In other words, they need to be able to come out and actually stand in solidarity with the teachers and the unions, as opposed to simply saying, oh, you have my support, and then you're the first to cry that it's inconveniencing you when your kids have to stay home because the teachers are fighting for what they believe is justly theirs,
or
the
you're stuck in
unions for that
traffic.
matter. Yeah, you have to put your actions where your words end, right? And that's just my dose of skepticism where that is concerned.
Yeah.
Right?
I totally agree. We have a lot of keyboard warriors. And while that might be good, we need for that warrior spirit to be elsewhere, other than behind a keyboard, that nobody is seeing your face. The funny thing is that as Belizeans, we are, let me tell you, I was in Jamaica when they raised the gas price by cents. And when I tell you, then people come out, they burn tires, they do whatever. I'm not saying that we need to do that. I'm not saying that. I am not at all saying that. I want that clear. But I think we're just too passive.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. We were talking about that. Historically, we're very passive people. When you even think about things that we would get riled up about, give it 2 weeks and it kind of dies down and we find something else. So we're fighting against what's our culture and history. And for us, it's really uncomfortable when we see someone stepping up and fighting for something they believe in. But the only way that you're going to see change is if you actually do that. We have to wind down this conversation and wrap up. And so I'm going to ask both of you, what's the step forward at this particular point? We know that the notice for industrial action has taken place. We now have to wait. In terms of the APSSM and the PSU, what's next?
We're waiting to be called back around the table. We have not given up on that. I can tell you, as far as my members are concerned, while it is our union have not declared a trade dispute. It's not because it's not there. It is because I would not have gotten the relevant amount of persons to give me that mandate. But there are members who are saying, yes, we have a trade dispute. It is just numbers, and you know numbers mean everything in terms of making representation. But I am with my brother and sister in this fight. I'm here. I could have been retired and sitting just watching and eating popcorn, right? But no, I'm not doing that because this is important. This is important to me. It's important to Belize, and it's important to my grandchildren. At the end of the day, we need to take stand. And unlike what people think, for me, I am the calmer person in the crowd. So I believe let us go back around the table. And we're waiting. We've written to the government. We were hoping that the urgency would have been placed on this and we would have already been back around the table. That is what our hope. In fact, I know that we would have given a proposed day. We've been setting aside a lot of things and placing importance on this issue. So we're prepared to go back around the table, right? Let us negotiate rather than telling us to come for clarification. Because that's what the letter said to, by the way, and that is why it didn't come out very well for members. It wasn't about coming back around the table to negotiate. It was to come for clarification. If I'm coming for clarification, it means I can't put anything else. But we are prepared to come back around the table. I don't think it's doom and gloom. I think that in fact, the persons who really want to work this out, and the union want to work this out. We don't want nobody out there. We want them in their jobs, teaching the children, doing everything. That is what we want, and I need to make that clear.
Mr. Flowers?
In 1 month, we've seen the government side play musical chairs with those letters. We saw the Deputy Prime Minister sign. We saw the Honorable Koi sign, and now we're seeing the Honorable Usher signs. That indicates to me that our fight is just. That indicates to me that they are not in agreement with what's happening and the injustice that this administration is being levying. They're playing musical chairs with even signing the letters. It is saying to me that there is some serious discourse happening in cabinet. And so we will stay the course. We have no other option but stay the course. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the utility unions who have reached out to the joint unions, who has sent their solidarity out to the union publicly, who have met consistently over the past 2 weeks with the unions, and who will join that Save Belize campaign with the other affiliates of the NTUCB, and I want to acknowledge them this morning for that. Belize, we have an opportunity here, not simply to get equity in the public service for teachers and public officers. We have an opportunity here to hold our elected leaders accountable, to find out why is it that most of our ministers are now millionaires in 5 years, to find out why is it that the FIU, through the civil asset recovery and unexplained when audit isn't doing its job when we've been exploited in the past and is being exploited in front of the new director's eye? Why is it that the Integrity Commission, on which the president of the chamber sits, is not holding our elected officials accountable? We can collect millions of dollars from these elected officials at every single level of governance who are not declaring their assets. So the money is out there. We want to speak about the $400 million, which does not go into the consolidated fund from the BTB, which is being used as a slush fund. We want to speak about the $54 million bond that the BTB floated. What happened to that money? We want to speak about all the money that is passing through NICH, through the Belize Airport Authority. Look, I can go on with these statutory boards and the slushing that is happening there, and that is why they canceled this meeting today. That is why they canceled that meeting today, because they knew that we would go through those cost savings and revenue enhancement report to expose gross corruption. We want to speak about almost $500 million in loans with that PPP unit, combine that PPP unit and the Ministry of MIDH. Yet we can't see no contract. public contracts we can't see. We want to speak about the airport authority, the concession company. It seems that we forget that concession, that 30-year concession, which we couldn't see, expired 2 years ago. Was it renewed? And for how long was it renewed? Word is 99 years. These are people who are not even putting in a cent in the airport because they're charging the departure tax now at $45 US, overpricing the industry. So when the Minister of Tourism said 2 days ago that would they get one drop, of course we aren't getting a drop. Because we have people who fleece the airport for 30 years without putting in a cent and now raising the departure tax to fund the expansion. $250 million over 10 years. So how much money the investors really put in? Who they pay for it? And why isn't that? Why didn't we think, put that in the government hands, brother? Why are we going to issue security contract when we could hire more police as they do in Trinidad and the policeman the airport? The policeman in Mexico, it's the military that mans the airport. We don't need to give nobody contract, brother. We could build our own competency in Belize. And I'm saying the movement that they have started, because that then caused this. Had they negotiated in good faith, we wouldn't be here. But this movement will not stop Isani, and I'm calling on the Belizean people to hold our feet to the fire, to also hold them accountable.
All right.
And with that, I thank you for the opportunity, and I invite you out on Thursday to the press conference of the NTUCB.
Thank you very much, Mr. Flowers. Thank you so much, Ms. Fraser. We wish you guys all the best, and of course, we will continue to follow this. All right, we take another quick break, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, we will be speaking to representatives of the Belize Bus Association and how they're working with the government to improve buses for Belizeans.
That's always changing. One thing stays the same.
Our promise as Smart Belize to keep you connected.
Connected to the moments, the people, and the future that matter most.
With every new tower, our service upgrades, and every new smile, we're keeping our promise in building more than a network.
We're building a future, a family as Smart Belize. From Punta Gorda to Corozal, we are here not just as a network, but as your partner in progress.
We have grown significantly over the past 20 years, and we just keep growing. Thank you for placing your trust in us. We remain dedicated to providing meaningful connections that bring value in every way that matters to you. We continue to bring people together.
Design Depot, your all-in-one destination for transforming your living spaces. Explore the world of GE with our selection of cutting-edge appliances for functional, convenient, and modern living. Find solutions for every paint project, from home to industrial, with our extensive selection of Sherwin-Williams paints and coatings. Safeguard your home with the durability of our weather-resistant windows and doors. Elevate your kitchen and bath with the timeless elegance of Kohler sinks and faucets. Transform your space with our constantly refreshed tile inventory, always embracing the latest tile trends. Design Depot, all in one place.
Let's all be safe during the rainy season. Belize Electricity Limited reminds you that heavy rains can cause flooding in your neighborhood and on roads. Avoid driving or walking in flooded areas, which can have hidden dangers such as debris and fallen power lines. Belize Electricity Limited cares about your safety. Please stay safe.
Get ready to feel the heat, the beat, and the energy of Belize like never before. It's Summerfest 2025. Live performances from Belize's most most talented kids. Come and enjoy food that sizzles and cold drinks for the kids. Cultural displays and loads of giveaways. Join us at Memorial Park in Belize City. See you all at 6:30 a.m. on June 20th for Summerfest 2025.
Where summer comes alive!
My name is Leomar Langsert and I'm a teacher and I bank with Belize Bank Independence Branch. What I enjoy is to see if the features that the app offers. I have a sense of not having to worry or be concerned about somebody finding my password and username to sign in the application because of the use of the one-time password. And another feature that I love, that I use the most, is how the app synchronizes with my fingerprint on my device. I enjoy the rapid and easy, seamless process to apply for loans through the Belize Bank, and I don't have to be having too much back and forth to visit or take time to visit the bank. They also start to offer the online applications through the app for loan applications, which I believe is very neat. I would definitely recommend Belize Bank to other teachers because one of all the features and advantages that the app offer. With these online that Belize Bank offered is basically everything that you can do in the palm of your hand. So I would definitely recommend the bank to other teachers.
Welcome back. Our next conversation is about the state of public transportation in Belize. We have been joined in studio by the president of the Belize Bus Owners Cooperative, Mr. Thomas Shaw, and he's been joined by attorney Arthur Saldivar. And of course, we have with us in studio Philip Jones. Now, these guys are all stakeholders in the public transportation industry. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's begin by getting a response to the meeting that was held yesterday by the Minister of Transport in terms of dispelling some notions and of course in terms of putting forward the proposal for one national bus company. Let's begin with you, Mr. Shaw.
Okay, first of all, good morning, television viewers. I'm Thomas Shaw, if most of you know who I am. First of all, we had seen that we had the first administration with Rodwell Fergus, First Minister, that sat there. Operators were promised that they would get a 10 years permit. There would be a tier system where you have three types of service. And 4 years and a half, almost 5 years, operators went and made a tremendous investment and to no avail. Nothing actually came out of that. With the previous administration, the same thing. A lot of promises and no fulfillment. Now we have Dr. Zabani, who is the Minister of Transport, and he's coming up with a national transportation, national company, whereas in the initial phase, when he has his consultation, it sounds so good to be true, but after analyzing the whole thing and the operators start to look back, they realize that this isn't really going to benefit us, because first of all, they're saying no due to the fact that it's a concept and there's no final preparation, there's no legislation. Whatever he's saying, what he wants the operators needs to be done, what needs to be done by the operators, but in reality, if you're serious about change, what the operators are looking at, that they have been in this industry for many, many years, some operators over 15, 20 years. And you didn't ask the operators if they want to exit the business. You didn't ask them if they want to sell their franchise. You're telling them now that we're going to open this company, we're going to value your assets, and if you want to join the company, you can put that back into shares. What the operators are looking at right now is that if some operators only have one run, now if you buy into shares, you know that goes by dividend. One of the big questions was, how will the dividends be shared? Will it be monthly? Will it be annually? Will it be quarterly? And these are some of the concerns with the operators. These are some of the concerns because One operator said, you know, Minister, I had a dream. And my dream was to pass on my legacy to my kids. Now, if this thing takes place, their dreams are shattered. Now, the association, we welcome change. We welcome it, but it has to be structured properly. You know, and these are some of the concerns, and this is the reason why we have our legal advisor, we have Mr. Jones, who's my deputy, and we are not being arrogant. We sympathize with the public. We know that we need to get to a certain standard, but nothing happens before the time, and we must start to, as a child, I started creeping, crawling, then I started walk. Now in reality, if this thing is supposed to take effect right here 31st of January 26, what we are looking at, as I mentioned to the minister, I think it's being fast forward and it's too rushy. We need to consult. There's just more questions and answers, and operators need to know that if this thing doesn't work, they want to know what happened to their 30 years of service. Where will that go? If you work right here, at the end of 20, 25 years, you go off, you're expecting a pension or some sort of gratuity. Now most operators are above 60, 50 years of age already. You join this company, and you heard the minister say it, that you have to go through eye tests, see if you have cholesterol, and most operators, I think, would feel they couldn't. So from owners now, you'd become drivers, maybe, right? So when you look at it, if you're looking at a cashless system, right with there and then you're looking at unemployment, because there wouldn't be no conductors again. For each operator that is out there operating right now, you're looking at maybe 5, 6 persons that they're responsible for in terms of feeding their family. When you go to
jump in, Mr. Shah, and I hate to do this, but it would seem as if though, if I'm listening to what you're saying and speaking on behalf of the Buses Association, that to an extent you're resistant to change. I say that simply because when you look at other countries, no conductor not about. You go with a pass, you pay your fare, you sit down and travel to your destination.
And to answer your question, this is a third world country. It doesn't mean to say that we cannot get there. But I said the will has to be there politically for this to work. You cannot just come and throw things arbitrarily to operators and say you want this, you want that. And the first thing, we lead by example. And you fix your house first before you try to tell another person what to do. The first thing is, you guys are aware that we had some consultants came in and they gave recommendation to the department in terms of the way forward. It was based on terminals, it was based on laybys, it was based on bus stops, it was based on the roads, and to no avail. That didn't really materialize.
It could be argued that that is exactly what is taking place, Mr. Shah. I want to get your take on what the feedback has been from other bus operators, because we've been able to speak to Minister Zabane, and he essentially said that they are discussing with various bus operators, and the feedback has been fruitful. People are looking forward to the national company. Are you saying that the majority is essentially not in support of it?
I can say that the majority is not at this point convinced that the national bus company is the way forward. Not in the way it's being proposed, mainly because the details have been very sketchy.
Okay.
There are no real details. You know, a proposal is one thing, and in the proposal stage, when you're being romanced, you're going to hear many nice things. It's going to be sun, moon, and stars are going to be delivered, but they don't tell you how. And what we are having, and just to quickly segue to your comment, Isani, about what happens in other countries, we must remember two things: disposable income and size of population when it comes to Belize. The fact of the matter is that the bus operators have always been carrying the burden of the high prices of fuel in Belize, carrying the burden of the poor road conditions, which have caused great wear and tear on their equipment at the premature stage, which have kept them in a constant state of flux, having to basically maintain those equipment to be roadworthy. Now, we've seen in Belize where certain industries and operators in those industries have been given concessions. If concessions have been given to bus operators, and those concessions, the savings therefrom, would have been reinvested or could be reinvested, then we would not have the kind of problems we're finding right now. If the minister is saying that it's going to take the creation of a national bus company to give concessions to that entity, why is it then that those concessions cannot be made available now, so that bus operators who are existing, feeding their families already in this industry, can be afforded the opportunity to give better service to the Belizean public at a lower rate? Because that's what ultimately the minister is saying should happen. But we are saying that what he is speaking about in terms of economy of scale is not on the up and up. It's very disingenuous, and I'll explain to you why. ADO, which is a company that most Belizeans are familiar with,
the Mexicans,
because it comes to Belize, and most people who are traveling through Cancun or to Cancun will take that bus service. ADO has a fleet of 8,000 buses. They have economy of scale, and ADO's price per mile is 16 cents US, which is 32 cents Belize. And you're talking about servicing a population of over 15 million people in the Quintana Roo area. Man, I know we've grown with unbridled immigration, we've grown quite a bit, but we haven't reached 15 million yet. And we don't have the disposable income as those persons in Quintana Roo and Mexico. What we have in Belize are persons, in terms of the vast majority of commuters, are either students coming from out district or public servants. A first-class clerk is signing. And this has gone for quite a while, and you had the union member in here. The first-class clerk from 1993 has been earning as an entrance wage $1,200 Belize monthly. Now, if you were to take that $1,200 Belize monthly and say now he's going to be paying per mile that he's going to travel 40 cents, it would mean that the person from Belize City to Bamapan will be paying $600 a month just to go to work. That's half his wage. And if he's coming from Orange Walk, as many do, the entire pay. So, when the minister is saying that the economy of scale from 200 buses would allow for them to reduce price, get a better product, and give the Belizean public the savings that they would want, is disingenuous. And what it poses, using this guise that the Belizean public will benefit without telling them how really they're going to benefit, is the potential for the transfer of wealth without any real capital investment from those persons who are going to control this new entity. And that is what most of the operators are fearful of. That their equipment that they have invested in will be used over the short term to allow for new persons who are going to have all the benefits to utilize, while they lose in the long term.
I draw a parallel with perhaps a similar model that has been used in a different industry. I look at the National Gas Company and how they were able to sort of amalgamate all the stakeholders in the LPG industry and create one company, and then they become distributors, right? I'm looking at the National Bus Company as perhaps a similar model that they are putting forward. But then my question is, has there been any consultation, not with the stakeholders on the ground, but with any other person or persons or organizations that deal in the business of transportation, for them to come forward with this proposal?
Well, the proposal is coming with the consultation, apparently. It's coming parallel.
Okay.
But the issue of the National Gas Company, as you raised it, and it's interesting and very good that you did. That product is underpinned by the fact that we produce natural gas now in Belize. Okay? It would have been a more difficult proposition if we did not find oil and natural gas in Belize for them to establish that. Because now all of it would have been dependent, as it was before, on the importation of liquid petroleum gas or petroleum gas from Mexico and Guatemala, where Zetas and the other people were basically having a monopoly on that. But since we have gas in Belize, produced in Belize, as a base, that made it feasible for you to now squeeze those people out and create a national company. It's not the same in transportation. We have people who have been given permits, and the way the permits have been handled or mishandled by the various ministers in the ministry has created the inefficiency that we see. You have people having runs in markets that are marginal, but the markets are made to be saturated because of political favor and how these permits have been given. Ultimately, it comes to the service of the commuters. They're the ones who suffer when the politicians play the games that they do.
What do you say to this then? Because one of the questions posed to Minister Zabane was if an option is available for these bus operators to still run independently and not align with the bus company, the national bus company. He expressed that that is a possibility. However, you would still need to align with the standards of the bus company. Second to that, I wanted to also ask, if that is a possibility and it's accepted, how does that affect the bus operators when it comes to their profits? If, for instance, the prices go down and you have to also adjust your prices.
That's a big if, but I don't see that as being a possibility. If you put new buses on the road, okay, new buses come at a cost. Insurance come at a cost. New buses will attract higher rates of insurance. As I've said, they will not be able to give you less than 16 cents a mile. So I believe at this point, from Benqueviejo to Belize City is $10. I understand. I haven't ridden the bus in a long time. But those prices are kept the way they are because the bus operators try to meet a balance between what they can get and what the public can afford to pay. I believe the margin in terms of profit is 5%. If we look at what it costs in terms of spare parts and tires and gas, it's not a very lucrative business for most people.
Phil, you've been in the bus industry for as long as I've known you, my brother.
Yes.
And perhaps you've seen it all come and go, and we're still in the throes of it all, right?
Correct.
Here is my thing. I started off as a journalist in 2009. 16 years later, and I, in all my reportages, haven't seen much of a difference. Nothing not really changed. Administrations come and go, the problem remains the same. And you've been doing this well before I began as a reporter. Right. Give us your perspective from a Belize City point of view, because I think while I could respect Mr. Shah and all the other stakeholders in the industry, you have a unique vantage point.
Okay. But Sonny, to be honest, and I'll speak frankly, but I just want to say good morning to all the viewers and the Belizean public and all the commuters. We just want them to know that we are not the villains here, that we have been painted or portrayed by the political parties. We have a passion for what we do, and what we do comes with a lot of love and a lot of cost, because it's a very time-consuming business. And it has to be hands-on. To answer your question, I've been in the bus industry from 1996. And there have been many changes in government and minister. And to be frank with you, I don't think the political will have ever been there before and up until now. Hence the reason that the operators and the members from the Belize Bus Association is very reluctant in going in this direction, for the simple fact that from then there have been no serious investment in the government part to put finance to improve the terminals, to improve the road condition, to give subsidy or any sort of help to assist the bus operators. Because I have seen almost 3 decades now, the terminal condition, we went backwards the road condition is terrible. You can't pull off properly off the road. These are simple things the experts said that you need to do. You need to, one, stop issue permit. You need to fix the terminals. You need proper enforcement. I heard in the proposal there was a 2 million increase. You don't, if you want to police the industry, you need to start from your house first. We need to see the political will from JOB and the minister before you come and trying to dictate to operators, saying that this is what is going to happen and you need to join. You haven't proposed or get a feedback from the members. You just came in about 1 month after the previous minister, after we were promised to go out, make significant investment, which I can say we don't get credit for it, but over 60% of the operator have made tremendous investment in the industry in order for them to garner the 5 or 10 years permit that was promised. Now here come a new minister with a new proposal, and this has been happening from the 90s. Each minister come with different vision, different idea, but no kind of change to improve, or no political will to improve the infrastructure, to improve the road condition. We had asked the government, and they're using our concept in their economy of steel to saying that they will try to see how they cut fuel, exemption and parts. Those are the things we have been asking for years. And if we would have been able to achieve those things from the government, then we could have been more efficient. We could have bought new buses, but at the present time, and the population and the situation we're in financially, we are still recovering from COVID. Don't let ghosts fool you. I can tell you in the city, we have many students that ride the bus that cannot pay $1.50. We still take them. You don't hear that out there. We have senior citizens that don't have money. We don't pay them. They still ride. Police officers, nurse, teachers. We do that because we have a social conscience, a moral conscience to what we do, and we understand the position that we're in. So my personal view is that, no disrespect to the minister, but my view and majority of the members' view is that he's trying to give us Disneyland. And like my brother said, the stars and the skies, you have the sunshine at night. He's selling a dream that is a good dream. But his dream is a dream. We're talking about reality now, not a dream. There is a struggle, and we facilitate the poor, I don't want to say the poor class, but we deal with the lower scale in terms of salary, you know, that can only afford $1 or $2 bus. And you're saying that you will get brand new buses. My brother and my sister, the only way you can achieve that is this price has to be double. And we want the public to know that we have been asking for decades for tax fuel. If the government was serious, let's see you start to put legislation. Let's see you start before you come to us and say sell out. Let's see you say you're building a terminal. We have heard 3 years, we have heard 20 years ago there was a new terminal that was to be built, new facility, new officers, training, things like these. You need to fix your house, my brother, before you go and check for your house or for your books. And the members are simply saying, we are not seeing anything tangible for us to say yes at this time. We want to improve, and we have been improving. You can go out there and look, and you can see there's a lot of improvement going on, right? But at this point in time, what type of bus will it be? Will it be gas? Will it be diesel? Will it be a hybrid? Will it be electric? We're all over the place. We're confused. So we don't know what to do or what to invest in, because there's nothing in black and white, nothing legislated to say this is what we need or this is what we want. So I speak for the members of the Belizean Bus Association. And there we are the majority of bus operators. Just in context, he speaks about the West, the South, and the North. In the West, there are 4 operators. In the South, there are 6 or 7. And those members he is speaking about, they said yes to continue with the consultation, not yes to the proposal. And we're in dialogue with our members. We meet on a regular, and we have our chat group, and we keep in touch. And some of the members from the West say outright no. Some of the members from the South said outright no. And almost all operators from the North says no. Now why they are saying no is because there is no trust in the Department of Transport. And we see no effort being made for you to garner that trust, because you're operating in a spirit to say, okay, this is what needs to be done. And you're selling a facade to the public that you will get new buses, better terminals at the same price. I can tell you, my brother, I've been in this business a long time. The only way you can achieve that, this bus fares have to go up by double. If you want to buy new buses, you're talking the buses that they were proposed when they showed what they were thinking about is 1.2 million for one bus. So probably by now it went down a little bit, because we have been in this consultation for over 10 years from the previous administration. And to answer your question, what you said, we don't mind the change. We don't mind not having conductors on bus, but there needs to be a certain level. You cannot impose on the Belizean public one standard. There was a system created by the previous minister stating that there will be different tiers. So if you want your high end, and the minister gesture, you want the top notch, you will pay this. You want a little bit lower, you pay that, and you want that, you will pay a little bit less. For who can only afford that or travel every day, right? So with that said, just to show a simple example, the European Union gifted a bus to the Belize City Council, 2 electric bus. They started the fare at $3, right? They started at 3. Now, they start to compete with us, which is unfair competition, because now it was across about $3, and they dropped students and senior citizens now to $1. And bear in mind now, this is a gift. They don't have no expense beside, I believe, salary for the driver and the conductor. And by law, they should be consulting with the bus association and the bus operators what they're doing. But no transparency so far.
All right.
And one more point. Floralia invested millions because they are gas. Millions. And you know what they're doing? They dropped their fares from $9 to $6. And you have the government saying that you need better service. I agree. But how can you now give in that service and you drop from $9 to $6?
The market cannot afford more. The market cannot afford more.
Gentlemen, we are completely out of time, unfortunately, but we hope to continue this conversation with you all. Of course, we are following this closely, and we continue to also provide updates to our viewers on the news, and we even invite you back again to continue this conversation.
Love to come out.
We take another quick break, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we'll be chatting with Miss Universe hopeful Monisha Stewart.
Tech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Full-Tech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomy. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
Here's how to access your contribution history on the My Social Security portal. First, go to your browser and type ssbportal.org.bz. Enter your email and password, then click Log In. Once logged in, you'll see your full portal account on the screen. On the left-hand side, you'll notice a drop-down menu for added features. Click on History. Choose Contributions. Read the disclaimer, then click Continue. You'll now see a full window displaying your contribution history. In the table, each row represents a different year. For example, let's look at the year 2024. Click on the row and a detailed breakdown will appear. This breakdown includes your employer's name, your earnings for each month and week, contribution type, the amounts paid, and that's how you can explore the new contribution feature on the My Social Security portal. It's quick, easy, and keeps your Social Security information right at your fingertips. Create your account today.
This summer, get ready to feel the heat, the beat, and the energy of Belize like never before. It's Summerfest 2025. Performances from Belize's most talented kids. Come and enjoy food that sizzles and cold drinks for the kids. Cultural displays and loads of giveaways. Join us at Memorial Park in Belize City. See you all at 6:30 a.m. on June 20th for Summerfest 2025.
Where summer comes alive!
In our world that's always changing, one thing stays the same.
Our promise as Smart Belize to keep you connected.
Connected to the moments, the people, and the future that matter most.
With every new tower, our service upgrades, and every new smile, we're keeping our promise in building more than a network.
We're building a future, a family as Smart Belize. From Punta Gorda to Caraza, we are here not just as a network, but as your partner in progress.
We have grown significantly over the past 20 years, and we just keep growing. Thank you for placing your trust in us. We remain dedicated to providing meaningful connections that bring value in every way that matters to you. We continue to bring people together.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We are moving things along, and now I'm joined by Monisha Hyde. She is a Miss Universe hopeful, and she's here to share a little bit of what her journey has been like, including sharing what her passion and her advocacy has been, supporting persons in vulnerable communities that are affected by crime and violence here in Belize. Monisha, welcome back, girl.
Oh, good morning, and good morning, Belize. Thank you for having me.
You know, moments ago, or a few weeks ago, we had you here talking about health and fitness and
yes.
something that's also a passion of yours as well.
Yes, that's
But
correct.
we want to make a focus this morning on one of your more recent endeavors, which has been pageantry.
Yes.
A lot of people have been following you. It's been super inspiring what you've been posting on social media, but I think more specifically the cause that you are championing for, which is a reduction in crime and violence here in Belize.
Yes.
Before we get into all the pageant fun and details there, let's talk a bit about what this cause has looked like for you and how close it hits to home.
So for me, it's a very personal experience. I lost my dad to gun violence when I was 12. So I know the struggles of like championing education and like finding that balance with your normal life and grieving from such trauma. And I know how hard it is for young people to like get out of the hardships. So that is why I am here, to uplift them, to show them like I did that so they can do it too.
You know, your story paints a parallel to what we've also been seeing taking place, where intergenerational trauma is concerned. When we think of crime and violence and how it affects certain communities and families in general, it could go one way or another. You present a success story, but I have to ask you about other scenarios that also take place where we see intergenerational trauma add to the violence that we continuously report on. Do you see that being a case?
Yes, it is. It's very prevalent here in Belize. A lot of our youth coming from marginalized communities are more prone to join gangs and end up in these type of situations, which increases violence here in Belize.
You've been able to go out in your community and various other communities and document, which I have to say I'm very impressed with, the feedback from community members on how crime and violence affects them, from what they've seen, from what they hear. You've been able to speak to people highlighting just hearing gunshots and how that affects them and their sense of safety within their community. What has been your reaction to the findings that you've heard so far?
So coming from the communities, people are tired. They're restless about the gun violence happening in their communities. And they're saying that it's mostly coming from youth, young people. Young people are the ones that are a part of these activities. And they're not able to sleep at night, someone said. They're not able to sleep because of all of these crime and violence happening in Belize. For instance, me, when I was growing up, I grew up in Gostong, and I can remember hearing gunshots all the time, and it became so normal to me.
You become desensitized.
Yes, and that is not how a child should be raised.
Yeah. But when you think of solutions, I imagine it's an even more challenging conversation because there are many different projects and proposals put forward to try to find a solution when we think of social activities coming from the government. And now you present an opportunity to put an even bigger spotlight on that through your own platform, and now hopefully an even bigger platform if you are given the opportunity to represent Belize on that international stage. But I want to take things back a bit. Looking at the investment that is being put in from the government side, you've also been able to sit down with the Commissioner of Police, Dr. Richard Rosado. Do you think that enough is being done? And if not, based on the interactions that you've had, what do you think is needed to improve this situation?
Well, we do have interventions in place, but I feel like we can do more, starting from early childhood. This is why I focus on education as well, to invest in our children from now, lead them in a way that keep them active when it comes to reading and keeping their minds focused. And this prevents gun violence in a kind of way. Also, when it comes to gang leaders and members, I've spotlighted the LIU, the Leadership Intervention Unit, and they have interventions in place here in Belize that can help these individuals or people from marginalized communities experiencing violence to give them a second chance at life. They would provide skills, training, different trades, send them back to school, provide them with a stipend to, help in some kind of way. So there is help, but we just need the public to know more about it and for them to use it.
I have to ask you a question, Monisha, that might be more on the controversial side, simply because we've all been divided on this particular question when it comes to finding a solution to the violence taking place, and that is where the state of emergency is concerned.
Yeah.
Do you believe that that is effective?
It is effective to a certain extent, but I feel like that is not solving the real problem, because whenever these individuals are released, it's the same thing. Like, it's a cycle. It goes right back into the same thing that sent them into the state of emergency in the first place. So I think we need something more proactive and really tackle the issue from the root. Like, what is causing the violence? Why are these individuals acting this way or behaving this way? So it has a lot to do with mental health as well. We need to invest in that area for these individuals.
Now I go back to where I started. You're one of the success stories coming out of being heavily impacted by gun violence. You spoke of your father. I believe on one of your videos that you posted online, even your brother most recently. Let's take things more to a more positive side and highlight how you've been able to use your platform and your story to connect with people since being on this journey through Pageantry. What has that been like?
So the support has been amazing. I was so shy to put out that video of me being vulnerable, and I got a lot of positive feedback. People were so inspired by it. And a lot of them were like, oh my gosh, I've been through the same thing. I lost my brother, I lost my uncle. And they're using my story as an example of hope that, they can rise as well from these situations.
Now, you are multifaceted. You are advocating for the reduction of crime and violence, but you're also very much into health and fitness. I believe you are a pharmacist by profession, yes?
I am.
And so you have a lot on your plate. What has the entire experience been like in preparation for this? I imagine it takes an entire team.
Yes, it is.
How do you go about preparing for something like this?
So honestly, it has been very busy and very challenging. However, having a team really helps me to stay grounded and true to my values. And being disciplined, of course, it all comes down to a routine and keeping things in place, checking them as I go along. For now, I'm not able to fully commit to being a pharmacist, something that I love to do, but I will get right back into that when the pageant is over.
Yeah. And the pageant is coming up at the end of this month, and so if you want to really, really see these ladies shine, apparently there's a Pageant Week, which is next week.
Yes.
What are some of the activities that we will be looking forward to come next week leading into Pageant Night?
We will be having the meet and greet Tuesday, the 24th of June. This will be at the Grand Resort Hotel in partnership with Madisco.
So we get to meet everyone?
Yes, you get to meet all the delegates. And we have tickets for sale. And so that we have that. And then we have a couple dinners with the girls and getting to know each other better. And then we have several meets with different people in government. Yeah.
This, I imagine, has been just a unique experience for you. This is your first pageant that you're taking part in, yes?
It is.
What would you say to someone who might have been a bit more skeptical on, what pageants represent? I think I've had this conversation with a delegate before, where pageantry was once just looked at as having a pretty face on a podium or a pretty face representing an organization. Do you believe that it's actually as impactful as persons who've been in there actually say it is?
Pageantry is quite impactful as of today. I mean, as for me, I'm using this platform to advocate for gun violence prevention and using health and wellness to combat that, and education. So it's quite impactful because I know I'm already making a change in a lot of people's lives. So it's not just a pretty face. It does play a part but it's not the most of it. The most of our beauty is from within, how passionate, how kind we are to people around us, and how true we are to ourselves.
All right. Well, as we wind down this conversation, I know that you have a T-shirt. I believe this
Yes.
is one of the slogans that you've been using.
Yeah, so this is the name of my advocacy, Healing Beyond the Hurt, and it has education, health, and gun violence prevention.
Yes.
So this shirt was used for the walk that I held on May 31st. It was a walk for gun violence prevention and spreading awareness here in Belize City. And with the funds, we're able to contribute to a tuition. So every shirt purchase, it helps to fund a tuition.
All right. And of course, if we are moved by this, we can continue to follow your journey on social
Yes, for
media.
sure.
I understand that you brought a banner, but we do not have time to highlight that. Can you explain what it was?
So the banner has been around countrywide. I had people pledge to end gun violence, students. I think you saw me with the commissioner of police. Even he was showing being a good example of ending gun violence. So what we do is we pledge end gun violence and we place our handprints on the banner.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Monisha, all the best to you. I'm really excited about Pageant Week. Of course, we also encourage you guys to continue to follow the journeys of these ladies who are vying for the next Miss Universe Belize title. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty, we take our final break, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, we will be chatting things up with the Belize Special Olympics and their introduction of fencing. Can you fence? We'll find out when we come back.
Or a soulful performer,
your turn to shine under the lights right here to remix your future.
The winner walks away with $10,000 prizes and bragging rights as Belize's next top talent.
Only the best make it to the bliss. Will it be you? KTV, the remix, season 7. It's bigger.
It's bolder.
It's awesome. Let the remix begin.
My name is Carlton Flowers and I'm the owner of Back to My Roots Art from the Heart, and in this store I produce a lot of handmade ornaments. Before I had access, it was a big problem because the tourist doesn't carry as much cash. We needed to have the machine to make the business a success. Dealing with the machine, I don't have to take time out from the store to go and or send people to go to the bank. I would recommend Belize Bank digital service because it has done a lot for me personally. It has done a lot for my business. It helps me with paying my bills online, and I really appreciate that the staff took time out and teach me what I needed to get done. So I'm very happy that now I can do it confidently on my own.
Get ready to feel the heat, the beat, and the energy of Belize like never before. It's Summerfest 2025. Live performances from Belize's most talented kids. Come and enjoy food that sizzles and cold drinks for the kids. Cultural displays and loads of giveaways. Join us at Memorial Park in Belize City. See you all at 6:30 a.m. on June 20th for Summerfest 2025.
Where summer comes alive!
that's always changing. One thing stays the same.
Our promise as Smart Belize to keep you connected.
Connected to the moments, the people, and the future that matter most.
With every new tower, our service upgrades, and every new smile, we're keeping our promise in building more than a network.
We're building a future, a family as Smart Belize. From Punta Gorda to Carrizal, we are here not just as a network, but as your partner in progress.
We have grown significantly over the past 20 years, and we just keep growing. Thank you for placing your trust in us. We remain dedicated to providing meaningful connections that bring value in every way that matters to you. We continue to bring people together.
And welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us. Our final conversation this morning is about the sport of fencing.
Yeah.
Joining us in studio are Louis Saksik and Shaheen Tablada. They're both members of the Belize Fencing Association. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
And with us on the couch this morning is our returning guest. Giovanni Alamia was here with us on Monday in a different capacity, but we're dealing with a different discipline today.
Well,
right?
different discipline, still representing Olympic Committee.
Yes. Talk to us about fencing and the fact that this is a big part of what's to take place this weekend.
Yeah, so again, like I had mentioned Monday, this Olympic Day event that we're hosting on Monday is more for us to showcase the various national federations that we have. Right? Monday we had table tennis and other, we've had karate, taekwondo, on various shows, and so again it's to showcase the federations, and it's to offer everyone an opportunity to meet these athletes and to meet the representatives of these federations, so that in case they might be interested or the kids might be interested, then they could sign up and find out where they can go. Like same thing when you ask, like, okay, where does this happen?
I know. I didn't even know we do fencing here in Belize.
Right. So again, that's some way a way for us to expose both ways, right?
How popular is fencing in Belize, actually?
It's getting very popular. Sonny Main, Frank McKenzie, and these young guys here, these athletes, they're very committed, and it's slowly growing. They're getting more and more equipment in. I believe in October of this year, they'll be participating in the Central American Games in Guatemala.
Oh, fantastic.
Young man over there, he has been training in Salvador, and different things they've been doing, right? So it's like, you need people that are trained to train the kids, so it's a long-term investment, and again, the Federation has been doing that. They've been, little kids, 8-9-year-olds, just slowly getting there.
All right, well, educate us this morning. I have, what do we call this? That's an episode. A what?
Episode.
Episode. What are the rules of fencing? Because I only see the two persons trying to get a chance to poke each other. It's not sharp, guys. But what are the rules of fencing?
Yeah, so again, I just had a little brief tutorial from them outside. With depending on the sword, they have various swords, and the swords can hit in different parts of the body to count as points, right? So you can either the chest or the back, and then the other ones is the chest, the legs, the feet, the face, the mass. So it all depends on which sword it is.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Gentlemen, let's quickly get into what brought you to the sport of fencing.
Okay, so I have a history of martial arts. I've been training martial arts for the last 17 years.
Wow.
So I was not really a fencer, but my coach said, you should pick up fencing because it's a martial art as well. And then his coach was the fencing coach, so I said, okay, I'll try it. I went the first time. I said, okay, similar to karate and taekwondo. Okay, good. So let's go a little bit further. I had the opportunity to go to El Salvador to train some more And then I fell in love with the sport even more because I had day in, day out to practice every day. From morning till evening, I had time to practice. So that's what drive me to pick up fencing.
And yourself?
For me, what made me pick up fencing was, you know, I was always into sports and stuff from such a young age, and I've been fencing for like at least like 4 or 5 years now. So I have already like so much time committed into it. I want to do something with my time that I have invested, and honestly, if I have my commitment right and my mindset, I believe that I could fence for Belize, you know.
All right, well.
Can you show us a demonstration?
Yeah, I was gonna
press
ask
for
that.
time, but a little bit of
all right,
1, 2, 1, 2 can't hurt.
Alright, so in my hand here I have an episode. My goal is to touch his torso, his legs, his feet, or his mask. He has an foil sword. With foil, you have to have the right of way to attack. If you don't have the right of way, if you don't touch the blade and attack and then lock off your line to close off your line, then you don't have a chance to attack.
Okay, let's see. So the idea is to touch?
Yeah, the idea is to touch. Okay, so we're going to do epic.
Okay.
And that. Let's play. So that would have been a point for Lewis.
Okay. Oh, okay, now it's getting interesting.
That would have been a point for me.
Oh.
Double.
I'm sorry, I get so aggressive watching this.
What is the level of competition like outside of the country? I know that in Belize we have familiar faces who are participating and training regularly, but when you guys go out for regional or international meets, what's the type of competition that you're facing outside?
So locally, it's much not that complicated. It's easier here. Internationally, they have more time to train. They're more dedicated. We have to work, so we don't have that much time to train, but we still try to put in the time after work. The competition out there is most similar if you have your mindset to the game. If you're dedicated, it's going to be easier for you. If you're not, you're going to find it very complicated.
You said that there's a level of martial arts involved in this. What aspect? Because I just saw you guys going back and forth.
So for fencing, it's basically just a sword play.
Okay.
But it's the discipline it takes. And in martial arts, they're disciplined.
Okay.
So fencing is mostly generated back from the samurai's days. Just because we don't draw the sword, we set from angar. But the discipline it takes to become a fencer.
Okay. You were gonna say?
Yeah, like he was saying, you know, it's body control, you know, so it ties in with the martial arts where you need to be able to control hand-eye coordination is important. And touching on what Isani asked, fencing is an Olympic sport. You know, so there are various levels, you know. Again, these young men, they compete regionally. The idea is start to get them out of this region and start competing internationally on a larger scale. And at the end of the day, everyone wants to either be a professional and compete in the Olympics.
Yeah. Well, we're still inviting the public to come out this weekend to support the various activities and disciplines that will be on display. Remind us again of the location.
So it's the Marion Jones Complex, the Ned Pitts Olympic Building. We start registration 8 o'clock. We'll have 7 categories, very short distance running. From the U10 we do like quarter of a mile run, the plus 35 and up, and then we have a 50 and up. They would do like a mile and a half at the most, right? So very short event.
Well, this is fantastic. Guys, thanks so much for joining us and demonstrating. We are going to show once more as we wrap up, but we do want to say a huge thank you to everyone else who joined us this morning, and also you guys for tuning in with us. It is June 18th, and if you're celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to ya. If you'd like to give a birthday shout out, or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at oie@channel5belize.com. You can also catch us on Facebook, that's Open Your Eyes BZ, as well as Instagram for behind the scenes contents, that's OIE Belize. You can even call us or text us on our OIE phone number, that's 675-2555. Again, thank you so much for joining us. And please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
Have a fantastic Wednesday, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and SMART, bringing people together.